Welcome to Misfit HQ. With the Open and quarterfinals just around the corner, we wanted to do a series where we cover all of the gymnastics movements and their most common faults and solutions that we see this time of year. This week, we are going to cover the handstand push-up, toe-to-bar, wall walk, and handstand walks. And while this is only one cue and one fix for each thing, the beautiful thing about gymnastics is a lot of times you fix that most common fault and then everything else falls into place. Let's get into it. The most common fault that we see in the kipping handstand push-up is initiating the kip with the hips. Now, the easiest way for me to explain this is a little drill I like to do with athletes, where I have them kick up into a handstand, load to the bottom like you are about to kip. Now, just think for a second about the position that you're in right now, and I want you to duplicate it right side up. So go ahead and come down and stand as if you are in the bottom of your handstand push-up. Now, from this position, we have a lot of models that we use all around the gym with dumbbells, with barbells, all that good stuff. Stuff where if we did a hip extension first, Hunter, show me what a hip extension first looks like from this position. Not excellent, right? Not the most efficient movement. Now go back down to the bottom there. Show me what you would do to move a barbell or dumbbells. Excellent. So this is about sequencing. We know that if we stand first here, then our glutes will sort of carry our hips through and we'll be in a nice balanced stack position. We want to do the same thing on the wall. So I'm going to have Hunter kick back up. I'm going to have him load into that same position, and we're actually just going to go really slow here. He is going to essentially extend his legs first. This is what we are looking for to happen first, just like we are standing up, and then again, the glutes will carry his hips through, so you can load again. Use those legs first, and then the hip extension brings him off the wall and into this position. Go ahead and kick down. You want to make sure that as you are coming up, those legs go first, the glutes carry us through. That is going to ensure that your momentum is going straight up and you are balanced to get another rep. The most common fault that we see with the toes to bar is the lack of what I like to call the recovery arc, where an athlete is done with the rep of the toes to bar, their feet are on the bar, and they really beautifully push their feet out and then have a nice arc down to a tight arch position. What we see with a lot of athletes is as they kick the bar, they stay sort of balled up, they bring their legs back down, they don't get a lot of momentum, and then it's really not natural to get into that beautiful arch position at the bottom. So what I'm gonna have Hunter do right now is have him work on, at the end, again, kicking out and making sure that he is setting himself up for that nice long arch. He's gonna stay fairly passive as his legs come back down, and then as we start to get the feet back in line with the rig, we're gonna sort of take over again and make sure that we're staying active in that nice tight position, because that's what gives us momentum for the next rep. So as he's working on this, I'm not that worried about when he's practicing at first if he's kicking the bar. So he's gonna work through a few reps here, and he's just gonna get a little bit closer and a little bit closer to the bar, and that's going to sort of remove the strength portion that we need while we're working on skills. So go ahead. Kicks out, stays nice and tight. A lot of potential momentum there, good. Very good. So again, if you are used to feeling like you have to really pull with your hip flexors to get your legs up, we're probably not using that back half of the kip to come back down, get us some momentum, stay really tight. All right, so the most common fault that I see with the wall walk is what I call the shimmy. An athlete gets pretty close to the line with both hands still in front of it, and they have to wiggle and just really sort of fight to get into that position. And one of the good ways to think about it, and you'll see it demonstrated really well with Hunter here in a second, is that when my arm is out in front here and in these positions where I still have access because it's not straight in line with my thoracic spine, I have access to movement and I'm strong and I can decide what type of positions I want to be in. So while a lot of athletes think that because they don't have great shoulder mobility that they can't take those larger steps, that's actually counterintuitive. It is easier when we have more room to move our arm to get into that and then lock our head through than it is to get really close to the line, be sort of locked into that tough position, and then shimmy into those final steps. So Hunter's gonna go ahead and get down into the bottom position here. Hunter, I want you to try to do your 4 steps without going super fast so people can really see it. Good. So as you can see there, under control, he has the ability to move his hands in a larger range of motion, again, because he isn't locked into this overhead position yet. We were actually testing this before filming, and we had him go right up against the line. Even though he has great shoulder mobility and longer arms, it was challenging for him, you could tell, in that top position to shimmy there. So really take the time with your wall walks to figure out how to get to that 3, 4, 5 step range with a larger range of motion with your hand so that you can really sort of pivot and work through and use the shoulder mobility you have rather than locking yourself into a really challenging position and then trying to finish. So we're gonna split up the most common handstand walking faults into 2 categories. We're gonna start with category number 1, and that is someone who has been trying to get handstand walks for a while and they're really hit or miss, or they're unable to really get any good distance together. And that tip is what we call the wheelbarrow. So what I'm gonna have Hunter do is demonstrate essentially getting too far ahead of himself when it comes to walking with his hands before he's in a good inverted position. As you can see here, if he is sort of running his hands away from his lower half, not only is he not in an actual handstand and gonna fall back, but he's not using his lower half to carry him through the movement. So the drill that we use with this sort of has 2 variations and depends on your skill level currently. So what I'm gonna have Hunter do for the first one is kick up into a handstand, and as his feet sort of take him over without moving his hands, he is just gonna kick out of it. So go ahead, kick up, find that balance point. As he's coming over, he is just going to come out of this position. You know, we can get crazy and put down 300 gymnastics mats if you're nervous about what's gonna happen here. The second variation of this drill, once you get more comfortable with that, is just letting the feet take you into your handstand walk. So he's gonna do the same thing here. He's gonna kick up, he's gonna really emphasize finding that balance point, and then walk away. Good. And again, the major tip here, the major concept that you're trying to grasp is the idea of when I kick up, I am waiting until my legs get in line with or past my hands and they take me into my handstand walk, because I'm gonna be not only set up to start, I'm gonna be set up to go a lot further. The second thing that we want to talk about here is for the more skilled athlete that really burns out on this. We see a lot of athletes, even at the highest levels, not putting in their time with the handstand walks. You need capacity. You need to work on it more. The handstand walk is the type of movement that you can work on 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a week if it's a major problem for you, and just start small in terms of how long you go, build in how much you go in terms of your total volume, and if you continue to work on it and you start to add it into the Metcons, you will get better. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Most common gymnastics faults and their fixes. You've got a nice chunk of time between now and the Open and quarterfinals. Please put those to use. Head to the Misfit Athletics Discord channel and let us know how it's going. See you in the next one.